If you're tired of the standard business and marketing fundamentals, frameworks, and funnels, you need a little mischief. Get ready to turn up the volume on the CEO Mischief Maker podcast, where you access conversations with seasoned business owners who have smashed through mindset barriers, innovated the standard boring business and marketing playbooks, and executed future-paced strategies with bleeding-edge tools and tactics to micro-fail their way into massive success and growth. We are Mindset Impact Strategic Catalysts helping innovative entrepreneurs focus. We are CEO Mischief Makers. Ready to make a little mischief? We're talking to Zach. I hope you're enjoying this conversation as much as I am, but I really want to let you in on a little secret he's got. And basically, well, let me ask you a question. Do you want to learn exactly how to create, launch, and scale your own micro offer? What's a micro offer? Yeah, you'll find out. You know what they are. Guidebooks, templates, email, training programs, challenges, micro offers. If so, then Zach put together a comprehensive guide. I've downloaded this guide. I'm going through it with him, actually, showing you exactly how to sell while you sleep, his process to help you do that. You can download the free copy if you head to effortlessscale.com/guide. Yes, that's effortlessscale, 3 S's in the middle of that, .com/guide. Thanks for listening to the show, and thanks for checking out what Zach's up to. Okay, welcome back, CEO and brand mischief makers, because we get to talk now about how we impact our communities, what impact we're providing and helping them impact their clients, and also how we innovate the standard practices that are standard in business everywhere. I mean, business hasn't changed in the last hundreds, if not thousands of years, but how we innovate those practices into success for ourselves. So Zach, tell me a little bit more about your impact first, because you having your own coaching practice and helping coaches, I mean, that impact is kind of innate, right? It's just, it's what you do.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And, you know, if you haven't listened to the last episode, I'll give a quick recap where this all kind of started for me. And the reason I focus on what I do now is because working with my first ever coaching client, Dan, who's just an extremely great hypnotist. And I saw that he had this product sitting on his Kajabi shelf from a few years ago. I think this was 2021 at the time. This product was created in 2017 or 2018. And it was called Self-Hypnosis Secrets. And I remember looking at that and thinking, this is a really good product. And what was cool about it was that unlike other self-hypnosis, which is such a powerful tool, this product, you could literally go through and learn how to remove limiting beliefs and self-doubt and all that in 5 minutes. And so I'm like, that's a really good hook. We should sell this thing. So we slapped together a funnel. And long story short, what we ended up doing is launching some Facebook ads, making a few tweaks. And a year later, we had close to $500,000 in front end sales and with just about $298,000 in ad spend. And I can still remember knowing that this was the future and such a great way for pretty much any established coach or influencer or expert to use to grow their audience and their impact. Because I remember sitting in, I was visiting my mother at the time with my girlfriend, now wife, and I looked at our ClickFunnels account, and there was one day where the night before, when we looked at our total, we had made $9,000 in sales and we'd spent just $5,000 on ads. So Dan had just deposited a nice $4,000 into his bank account, and he didn't have to do any fulfillment. He didn't have to see any clients. You just literally had that money sitting there. And from that day forward, I just knew that this was such a good model that coaches and experts can use to really showcase their expertise in a way that the market actually likes. Because I don't know, Mary, if you're like me, but unless I'm like really gung-ho and I really know someone, I'm not super keen to jump on a sales call and buy something right away. I like to learn a little bit more about something and about someone before I just, fork over 10K to work with them. So, once I started seeing this model, we really started doubling down on it. And I'm so excited to be here to share and talk about this, because it's such a great way that coaches and experts can really use this to help more people as well, which is my focus.
Yeah, which is that impact piece, right? So, but
Exactly.
I look at innovation a little differently than most people. I mean, most people think of innovation as the Elon Musks of the world, right? Who's creating Tesla
Mhm.
and SpaceX and all that, and just mind blowing stuff. But you can take
Yeah.
that same idea, because space travel's been around a while, cars have been around a while, right? So all he did
Yeah.
was innovate what already exists. And so that's what I'd like to talk to you about. So let's think
For
about these
sure.
coaches and some of these
Mhm.
funnels, because we've all heard the words funnels. We know click funnels. I've worked in
Yeah.
ClickFunnels. My company's called Messenger Funnels, so I get it. But
Absolutely.
let's take that scenario, and let's take a coach or a course creator or an online
Mhm.
educator, and they're going to use a funnel. The funnel is the same. You have a page, people take action, it goes to the next page, people get access to something, etc. How are you innovating that based on the individual coach sitting in front of you so that they can help scale their business? So, in other words, how can people take your framework and innovate it to work more independently for their business and uniquely?
Yeah, I would say there's kind of a few things. And I would actually probably, I think a big thing, speaking to a lot more coaches now, is like advertising. And you said it's in the last episode, it's like a black box. And so one of the things that I've kind of learned how to do is, I personally am the exact same as you. I am not like a trained media buyer that likes to sit beside and toggle buttons and all this stuff. And so one of the things I went to figure out was, how could we do this in a way that we could have, and I could teach a framework to a coach or anyone, whoever wants to grow their business, and they could have a system that they could, and my goal was that they could profitably spend $1,000 a day on ads with just 1 to 2 hours a week of management, which means logging into their ad account for just 1 or 2 weeks. And that has been kind of my goal with this. And what I ended up doing was creating a framework called Evergreen Ads. And this process is about actually creating 1,500 variables that you feed the AI, so that you can, which sounds like a lot, but luckily it only takes you about an hour and a half to do this. And you can, I know. And so what you can do is just feed these all to the Facebook algorithm. The algorithm's so damn good now, it can just find the right people. And I pretty much had, for context, we've been spending anywhere between 500 to $1,000 a day for Dan's new funnel. And we still have ads running from over a month ago. And I just don't touch those, because it just cycles through all these different variations. And Facebook's so damn good at finding the best combination. And so, I would say, if I could give someone a micro tip, let's dive into that, because I could go on about sales page frameworks and all this stuff, but that gets complicated. I'd love to show this tip because it's really easy. And if you are running ads at all, or you want to run ads, you can use this. So easy. It's really easy to deploy.
Wow. Okay. So we're going to save that for our next conversation, because I really want
Okay.
to dive into those details. And that's more of a strategy and a tactic. I mean, because you're going to
Okay.
basically tell us tactically what we can do, right?
Amen. Yes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got
So
it.
I really want to dive into that in a second. But how do I take your framework? And when I talk about innovating for myself, I can take what you do and you can say, okay, here's these
Mhm.
1,500. Are you freaking kidding me? 1,500 variables.
Yeah.
So here's these 1,500 variables, but what do I need to bring to that so that it
Oh,
is
I see. Okay.
uniquely mine, right?
I got you. I got you. And I would say one of the things that really a lot of that makes this process really easy is just bringing kind of your own knowledge, especially because I would say learning how to write copy is one of those things where if you talk to people, they say it can take like a lifetime to master. And one of the core things that you can really do to start innovating this process is just to actually spend more time with your customers. And this is such an easy way. And again, this is kind of a little bit on the innovation, a little bit on the tactic. And I always kind of toggle between those two.
Go for it. Yes.
But one of the core things that I help my clients with now inside my new program is like working with them one-on-one to like flesh out their copy, help write that sales letter, because of course the sales letter is the most important part. And one of the core things I've realized is that everyone already has everything they need to write copy in their mind. They just need to be able to put it down in paper the right way. And a really, really easy way to do this is to literally just actually, I would say, not so much do it from like there's a lot of copywriters out there for context that will do like hours and hours and hours of research and all of this stuff. And my methodology and the way I kind of want to rewrite this and help people so that they can write their copy a lot faster is by simply understanding their customer at a deep level and then being able to just kind of like flow through that energy, almost on an energetic level, rather than so much as a logic level, which you definitely need both. But I would say most people resonate through the heart instead of just like the logical trying to pound someone with arguments as to why they should buy your stuff, you know?
Yeah. So it's almost like embodying your customer and kind of seeing through their eyes and feeling what they feel, right? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And to the point where when I write copy for someone, I like pretend I'll read through like a bunch of client application forms, because that's the best place to find good sales copy. And so I actually kind of pretend that I am that person and I'm writing to them. And so it's like for this anxiety product we just did, it was like I'm reading through and I'm putting myself in a very dark state about what it's like to wake up and just instantly be hit with this anxiety monster hanging over your head, where you're almost terrified for that 8 a.m. meeting because someone might tell you to raise your hand and answer. And so it's really taking a holistic approach to that rather than trying to kind of like do all this external research and all this stuff, especially because most people internally, they know their customer so well. And so it's really just being able to channel that energy into your sales copy. And it makes such a difference. It makes such a difference. And it makes it so much easier to write.
Yeah. Well, and most of us who start businesses, we start them because of a need we ourselves have. So if that's the case, and you've solved that need or solved that problem, then you obviously understand your customer very, very well. But here's the trap most of us fall into, is that once we progress and we've gone past that problem, and now we're on to other things like the problems of building a business, we forget to go back and speak to that previous person we used to be. And we speak from where we are now. And that gap is it might be innovation because your business is innovated since then, but in order to serve that customer and have the impact you need for that customer, you have to go back to what that was. So just like you, Zach, I can't imagine that you could write copy for this anxiety situation if you had never felt anxiety.
Yes, that is correct. I would say it's one of those things where it's not so much that, because I've read definitely some absolute horror stories of people going through anxiety. And yes, I have definitely experienced my own version of it. It's different for everyone else. But I think the core thing that a lot of people do, and it comes back to actually what we talked about in the last episode, is you want to make sure that you're not doing it from a selfish intent and you're doing it from your customer's intent. And so being able to channel that energy and being able to put yourself in their shoes and write, like you could literally, if you want to, pretend a person's there and literally stand to the right and sit down and pretend you are that person. That is such an amazing way to write copy that really connects with the right people, because then you're not writing for yourself and your own kind of selfish beliefs. You're writing for that person and to that person.
Yes, absolutely. I think you and I, the last time we chatted about this, we were talking about a book, and Todd Herman.
Yes. The
What's the
alter
name of
ego
that book?
effect.
The alter ego effect. Isn't that exactly what you're talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. In a way, it's, I always love to take these things and play with them. Right. So, Todd was the one that introduced me to the idea of being able to just tap into different sides of yourself and different versions of yourself for specific situations. And you can just have so much fun with these concepts and really play around. And that's always one thing I'm really focused on is being more playful and being more fun in business, because a lot of people, they get so stressed about things and they feel completely overwhelmed. And on a piece of innovation, one of the things we talked about actually before too was the focus on doing the important things and not feeling like it's going to take this tremendous amount of work. Because a lot of people get the idea that they're going to have to, let's say they need to build a funnel, or they need to build a bot, or whatever that thing they need to pick up the phone and call someone, they need to jump on a sales call, and they feel like it's going to be this like huge genuine strain. They're going to be exhausted the rest of the day after they do this. And in reality, it's like there's an easier way to do it, that you could just pretty much like tap the boulder and it just rolls down the hill for you. You don't need to completely overwhelm your mind with this. And back to mindset. This is why I love online coaches and stuff.
Yes. And why do you think that, not only because it's an acronym, but why do you think that we use the word mischief in this whole podcast and in this thing that I do? That's the whole point of it. If you allow yourself to have that kind of fun and you look at it kind of mischievously and think about this as, you know what, I'm just going to be playful with this. It takes that pressure off. It takes some of that anxiety off. And it's not so like, oh my gosh, if I don't make $500,000 tomorrow, I'm going to lose my job, lose my family, I mean, come on, let's chill a bit, right?
Yes.
It's okay.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Exactly. And the worst case scenario is really never that bad. I mean, let's say you start a business and it doesn't work out, you just go back to work and no big deal. You could just start something else on your free time. It's not a big deal. Right.
Yeah. As long as you take off those judgments of yourself and don't get stuck in them, right? Which also goes back to our other conversation. And same thing with your client, Dan. If you need his services, go get the self-hypnosis, because that helped me tremendously, to be honest with you. But then as long as you cannot not get stuck in that feeling that, oh, now I'm a failure. Now I'm never going to be good at anything because of this one thing. So go back to mindset and listen to that episode if you feel like you're stuck there. But once you get to this point where, this is just business. This is just work. This is not life or death. I'm not an ER nurse. Thank goodness I'm no longer, I used to be an ambulance driver, and I'm no longer that. So I'm not dealing with people's life and death situations. This is just life. This is just business. We can just move on to the next thing. If we're playful with it, right?
Exactly. And not taking it too personally, in the sense that you don't want to be that person that gets way too in your head and traps your identity around a business failure. It's like your business self and your personal self are two totally different things. Like if you screw something up, it's like, that's your business side, right? That's the way I look at it. And it makes a huge difference, because then it's like, oh no, it's okay. Like I'm allowed to screw up over here. It's not going to impact me or my family or who I am as a person, which is the crazy things we all got wrapped ourselves into, right?
Okay. So, I'm going to say that's why you went faster in 5 years than I did when I first started my first business, because I exactly did what you just described. I wrapped my identity behind a business failure in the 2008 recession. And I stayed there for at least 4 years before someone finally said something to me that snapped me out of it. So I get it. I can tell that story another day, but I get it. And when you start taking those feelings and innovating them, not only changing your mindset, like we talked about in the last episode, but now taking these ideas of business building and innovating them and bringing your story. So that empowers my business when I tap into that story of how I switched my identity from, if the business fails, I fail. When I did that, I bring that story with me to help create success in the next thing, which I am doing now in this Mischief podcast. That's how I can bring that story in and innovate normal business practices with my own experiences. And I encourage you to do the same, because that's exactly what Zach has done much faster than I could in the past. And that, however your speed, do it. Innovate it. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you do it. Just do it.
Amen. And have fun with it. And just literally have fun with it. And innovation is so fun if you let it be fun. And like, for example, on a little bit of a tactical note, but what we did is I think I'm one of the few people that will write a sales page and I will not have like a buy now button at the top of the page. And that was just me having fun saying, I bet the people that click this button never buy. I'm just going to remove this. And so it's all about just like having fun and pushing the boundaries and seeing like, let's just go out. So all these people over here are doing this. Like, what can we do differently to stand out in an ever growing and competitive market, right? That is the core thing I always look at, is like, how can you have fun and play with this rather than getting like so wrapped in like, oh, this has to work, or, you get totally wrapped in your head about it. And so innovation is really fun if you let it be fun, or it can be like the most stressful thing in the world where you're self-doubting yourself every single second.
Please do the former and not the latter.
Amen. Amen to that. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. If your mindset was shifted, you were inspired to innovate, and you were spurred into action, don't just move on with your day. Focus, my friend, and take a few minutes to visit ceomischiefmaker.com to learn more about the value that was shared with you today. Please act now and create some CEO mischief of your own.